Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. This will be my May wrap-up video where I will be talking about all of the books that I read and listened to in the month of May. I read about 10 books, I think, in May, but I will be talking about 13 books in this video. Some of these books I have clumped together because they are a trilogy or a part of a series, so I thought that it will be good to just talk about all of them together in this one video. It's been so cold lately here in Perth, where I am in Australia, so I am wearing my very cozy hoodie today. It's actually around 11 p.m. at the moment. I do have work tomorrow, but I really wanted to shoot this video because I've been meaning to talk about these books for the longest time now. I read so many amazing books in May and I just cannot wait to share my thoughts with you guys and recommend to you some of my favorite books. I read a few trilogies this month. I have a new 6-star read and a couple of new found favorite authors as well, potentially. So without further ado, I have here my cup of warm water. It's just water, not tea. Some people do find that a little bit disgusting, but I personally love having hot, warm water during these cold nights so I can get all warmed up. And yeah, without further ado, let's jump straight into the books. First book I have here is Never Thought I'd End Up Here by Anne Liang. This is an advanced reader copy kindly sent to me by Penguin, so thank you so much, Penguin, for sending this over. Anne Liang is one of my most favorite / auto-buy authors out there. I love her young adult rom-coms so much. They are spice-free, they're very sweet, very wholesome, and also very relatable. They feel like a big old hug, and I always have the biggest smile on my face whenever I read them. This is Anne Liang's latest work and follows Leah, who, following a huge cultural disaster in one of her, I think, cousin's wedding, is sent off to China on a 2-week trip meant for students, and this will force her to be immersed in her own culture and go back to her roots after living in America for a really long time. There she meets her long-lost childhood enemy Cyrus, who has his own reasons for being in this student trip himself, but with a very strained history between the two, they try to adapt to one another's annoying presence to make the trip worthwhile for their own selves. Anne Liang can write these rom-coms 100 times over and I will devour them each and every time. I just love the way she writes her Asian diaspora characters. I am Indonesian born and raised myself and have lived in 3 different countries all my life, so the way Anne Liang tackles cultural clashes and miscommunications is very painfully relatable. Even identifying yourself as the race you were born as, or even as the country that you've been living in the longest, can feel like the most confusing thing ever. So her books are just a reminder that no matter where you are in the world, no matter where you live, your culture will always be in your blood and your identity is whatever you want to make out of it. I love Leah in this. She's the female main character and she's just so sweet and positive all the time, and even though she's gone through so many terrible things in her life, she still has such a bright outlook in life and it's very inspiring. She's literally nice to everyone except for Cyrus, I guess, but she's just such a lovable character in general. In contrast, Cyrus, he's probably not my favorite male main character out of all of Anne Liang's novels, but I thought he was really fun and sweet, and yeah, I thought this was just a really cute, really fast-paced YA rom-com. I love Anne Liang's writing as usual. You can see all the tabs that I've made here as well. I didn't annotate this, but I've just tabbed all of the moments that I love, and obviously there are a lot of moments, and I've also written some of my thoughts in these post-it notes just so I can go back to it in the future, and I've used these post-it notes as well to outline my book reviews that you can find on my blog and on my Instagram. And yeah, I just had the best time reading this. I think this is just under 300 pages and I flew through it in like 2 sittings or like 6 hours, I would say. Loved it. It was just so emotional, so wholesome, feels oddly nostalgic as well, and yeah, I love this so much. 4 out of 5 stars. Next up, I have Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I had the privilege of reading this book early, courtesy of Penguin Books, for sending over this beautiful proof copy my way. Just look how stunning and shiny that proof copy is. It's literally gorgeous and it's one of the prettiest arcs I have ever owned. I was so stunned to receive this because I have been waiting to request this, but the Penguin team just knew me so well and they were really quick to send them to me before I had the chance to send them an email about it, and for that I am very, very grateful. And it's just such a gorgeous proof copy and I will cherish it forever. So thank you, Penguin, for sending this over to me. Taylor Jenkins Reid is one of my all-time favorite authors ever. This is one of my most anticipated reads of all time. I first read Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid and I grew obsessed with her writing. And then I read Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by her, loved it as well, and I recommended it to everyone that I know. Then I read Malibu Rising by her, another one that I really, really love. And my last read by her was Carrie Soto is Back, which I believe was the latest book that she released as well. I read those 4 books and gave them all very easy 5 stars. So if that doesn't tell you how amazing of a writer she is, I don't know what will. Anyway, Atmosphere is an epic love story set in the stars. We follow Joanne, who loves anything to do with space and the stars, and when she received the opportunity to join NASA's space shuttle program, she took it as a chance that she could be one of the very first women to go to space. The novel pans back and forth from the past and the present, and the story begins with a mission that goes terribly wrong, and then we travel back to the past to see how and where it all begins. If you guys have seen my Instagram stories and posts, you will know that I absolutely loved Atmosphere. This is the second book this year that I gave 6 out of 5 stars, the first 6-star read being Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaughey. This was everything you would expect in a Taylor Jenkins Reid novel and so much more. Amazing characters, heartfelt storylines from every single character, not just the main ones, complex family themes, and a love that grows so deep that you ache for it. The tagline was not lying. This is truly one of the greatest epic love story of our century. This is the embodiment of love, the sacrifices that you make, the power you have over someone, the determination and lengths you go for those dear to you, and the choices you make that can cost your life, your career, your family. All of it comes down to love, and it's complicated and messy, but it's so enduring and fulfilling. This book will break you and mend your heart and then break it again 1,000 more times. I cried reading this book, and the only other book that made me cry was, again, Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaughey, and this was just everything. And just look at those tabs. Let the tabs speak for itself. It's just, I had the best time, and I literally could have tabbed every single page at this stage, but I didn't really want to go overboard with it. It's just I've already have so much going on here that I didn't want to, I guess, look like I was doing too much to the book, but yeah, this was just everything, and it's a favorite read this year for sure, or probably of all time. If you guys love those emotional books that you can just binge read, this is really fast paced as well. I finished this one morning. The moment I woke up, I grabbed this and finished those last 50 pages or so, and I literally bawled my eyes out. I was just so stunned to speak. It was just so beautiful and everything I could ask for, and 6 stars for a reason. It's probably my favorite Taylor Jenkins Reid novel now. I absolutely love it. Just highly recommend this. Next category, we have physical TBR books, and I have here Kiki's Delivery Service by Eiko Kadono. This happens to be my book club pick of the month for the month of May, and I got this adorable paperback version of Kiki from my trip to Sydney. In December, I got it in Kinokuniya. I even still have the price tag there, just I don't know, for memorabilia's sake. I couldn't pass up on it. I mean, it's just look how cute that is with the foiling and all the iconic Kiki, I guess, items with her little radio, her bow, and with Gigi there as well, and the town next to the ocean. It's just such an adorable copy. This is the Puffin Books edition, and it's got the cutest illustrations in it as well. So it's got some adorable illustrations sprinkled throughout the novel. I love her little family there and little brooms hanging on the wall. It's just so cute. We even have the cutest chapter titles with Gigi I love this edition so much. I was very excited for this to be the winner of my book club because I already had this book on my shelf when we were doing the vote. This is the book that inspired the Studio Ghibli film Kiki's Delivery Service, created by Hayao Miyazaki. So I was bound to read this anyways, even if this wasn't the book club pick of the month. So this story follows a little witch named Kiki as she makes her way to the big city on her coming of age day to find her skill and hone it while she is there. This book is what you would expect it to be. It's a middle grade novel, so it's adorable, it's wholesome, magical in a childlike wonder type of way. If you've watched the Studio Ghibli film, this book is similar in a lot of ways, but still very different to one another. For one, the film was inspired by the book and not the other way around. So this book is technically the original Kiki's Delivery Service. Hayao Miyazaki's adaptation was loosely based on the book, so it doesn't follow the exact same storyline. I think both the film and the book are amazing in their own ways. While the movie is mostly focused on Kiki as she grows, loses her spark, and then ultimately finds it again, the book focuses more on the relationships that she formed with the people around her, especially in the town, with Tombo, a girl that she befriends, with Osono, and even her customers. It's a really short book, like less than 300 pages long or so, so you will definitely fly through this one really quickly. If you're looking for something fluffy and cute that will get you smiling and just feels like a big warm hug, I highly recommend this. You can see earlier that I've made plenty of annotations. It's just, I wish I read this when I was younger as well. I feel like I would just find Kiki as my biggest role model, my biggest inspiration, or something of a big sister-like image. She's just such a ball of sunshine, and she's so determined and strong and steadfast, and she's just such a kind girl in general. I love it. I love Kiki, and I love the film, and now I love the book as well. I'm so glad that I got the chance to read this with my book club. So yeah, I gave this 4 out of 5 stars, only because some parts did feel a little bit repetitive, but otherwise I thought that this was the perfect middle grade novel. Next up we have Thrown in the Dark by A.K. Kajiano. This was a very random book that I came across on Amazon when I was looking for an ebook to read. I believe I got the ebook of this for $1.50, and then with that ebook sale, the audiobook came down to a really cheap price. I don't remember what it was, but I think it was around $5, so I couldn't pass up on an audiobook, so I purchased that one as well. And let me tell you, when I fell head over heels over the story and the narrators, the book is almost satirical. It's silly and self-aware, which makes it such an entertaining read. We follow Damien, who is the son of a demon, and he was on his merry way to fulfill his darkest and most evil destiny, yada yada, when suddenly his quest goes wrong and a bubbly blonde gets accidentally magically chained to his side. Amma is sweet and kind, and while the only way to get around this inconvenient mishap is to kill Amma, Damien can't bring himself to hurt the nauseatingly sweet Amma as she proves useful on Damien's journey, and she starts to make him feel things, this thing called emotions. This is yeah, so it's a really funny, sweet book. It's the first in a trilogy called the Villains and Virtues trilogy, and the series has 2 novellas on top of it as well, all of which I bought physically upon finishing the first book. That was just how much I enjoyed it. Yes, it was really slow at the beginning, and I was confused with the world building and the pacing for a little while, but once you get used to it, the whole story is just such a joy. If you decide to pick this book up, I highly recommend picking up the audiobook first. The narrators just did such an incredible job bringing the characters to life. Their narration fits the rom-com vibe so well, and I think I found a new favorite fantasy subgenre, and that is fantasy rom-com. Think The Princess Diaries, but with alchemy and magic and demons. I love Damien and Amma so much. I love how different they are from each other. What a joy it was to experience Damien's dark humor and soft cutie side, and Amma with her dramas and sweet antics. They just fit each other so well, and the world building ultimately is incredible. It's so unique and very detailed. This was originally self-published, but I soon discovered that it got picked up by a publisher not too long ago. I think Penguin Books. I can't say for sure. And the first book will be re-released in November this year with a brand new cover, which is so exciting for the author. Hopefully the rest of the series follows suit, because I think this will be a new favorite series of mine and for so many other people as well. The audiobooks are so comforting. I could read 10 of these without getting bored. I have a feeling that I will binge read this series, so I'm bringing myself to read these slowly so I don't leave the world too quickly. But how amazing this is so far, and I cannot wait to read the author's other books. She's such a talented author. And can we just talk about this cover? This self-published edition is so stunning. I love that little artwork there. So these are the books in all of their glory. I think they're just so stunning, and while the new cover is absolutely beautiful, I love this cover so much. It fits the story so perfectly. It's like Damien's like looking all dark and dramatically emo. And then we have sweet Amma. These characters embody the narrators so well. I couldn't pass up on these indie covers. The rest of the books are equally as beautiful. I've read this book as well, but I will talk about it in my June wrap up because I did finish this in June. Yeah, I just love this so much. This is the third book, and then these are the two novellas that I talked about. And the author just came out with another new series, I believe. It's called Fated to Fall. I'll put up the cover up here. So gorgeous. The cover just screams autumn, and I love it, and I would love to buy the paperback of that as well to add to my shelf. And yeah, I don't know, this series is just my new personality, and I'm just all over them. I love them so much. The last books that I read in my physical TBR in the month of May are the Warrior Bards books. So we have The Harp of Kings, and then we have A Dance with Fate, and also A Song of Flight by the one and only Juliette Marillier, aka one of my new favorite authors ever. I actually listened to all three of these books as audiobooks, and I absolutely devoured them. And they are not small books either. They are actually pretty lengthy. I think the audiobook was like over 20 hours long or something like that. I don't remember, but it was a pretty long audiobook for each of these books. But I flew through them all so quickly because they were amazing. I love the first book so much, which this is an ARC, by the way. I found this secondhand, and you can imagine how stoked I was to find this secondhand. I mean, having an ARC of one of Juliette Marillier's books, it's such a dream come true. Anyways, I love the first book so much that I decided to purchase books 2 and 3 so I can put them on my shelf and appreciate them fully. The first novel, A Harp of Kings, follow a few main characters, but I will say the main focus is on Levon, who is a skilled warrior and singer. She sings beautifully, she fights expertly, making her the perfect spy alongside her brother to disguise as traveling minstrels to retrieve a missing harp that is to be played at an upcoming coronation. This book, and just the trilogy as a whole, is very political and character driven, which I absolutely love those two things. The writing, as always, is very gentle yet powerful, which is very classic Juliette Marillier. I love how she's able to form such strength and power in her very soft words. The only other book that I can think of that has very similar writing style to Juliette Marillier is The River of Cadence duology by Rebecca Ross. I love how mature the characters are in this trilogy, especially Levon, because I think she's only meant to be 18 years old, so I was very impressed by that. Do be warned that this series can get dark at times and even triggering, with sexual assault and torture scenes sprinkled throughout the series. They do add so much meaning and layer to the story that will make you grow so attached to the characters. My favorite out of the 3 books is A Dance of Fate, which is the second book in the trilogy. It was so emotional. I was hanging on to every word in this book, trying to wait for the light at the end of the very dark tunnel to show up. It was very painful and heartbreaking, but so raw and so beautiful. Seeing the characters persevere through immensely difficult situations and making huge sacrifices for the people they love was just so incredible to read. I cannot believe we have the pleasure of reading such an amazing trilogy by a gem of an author. This is not my first foray into Juliette Marillier's books, and with every book that I read by her, it's growing more prominent that she's becoming one of my new favorite authors ever. I was actually told that I should have read the Blackthorn and Grimm series before going into the Warrior Bards trilogy, but I was going to read that series anyway because I can't get enough of this world and Juliette Marillier's books. Fun fact, Juliette Marillier actually lives in Western Australia, which is where Perth is, which is just such a lovely surprise. There were a few author signings happening when the Amber Owl came out, and I was just so keen to be able to see her, but unfortunately the days where she came out to do these author signings, I was on site and I had work work, so I could not meet her unfortunately, but I really wish to be able to see her face to face one day and tell her physically how much I adore her books and how amazing she is. I gave the first book 4 out of 5 stars and the second book 5 out of 5 stars, and I gave the third book 4 out of 5 stars, which gives this trilogy an average rating of 4.3 out of 5 stars. Love this, highly recommend it. Please, please, please read Juliet Marley's books. Thank you. Alright, so now we are moving on to audiobooks, and the first audiobook that I want to talk about is House Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones. So that's 2 Studio Ghibli themed books for the month of May, which was a really funny coincidence. I first read House Moving Castle back in 2016 after discovering that the film was originally a book, and I remember not really enjoying it. I'm not sure if it was because I might be a bit too young to appreciate the whimsy of the book. I was 17 at the time, so it might not have been an age thing, but maybe reading it at the wrong time, or maybe I was just expecting the book to be a lot like the film and that wasn't what we got. I wanted to know more about Sophie and Hal and their background, and I think for me personally the film gave me dark cottagecore vibes while the book has a lighter, more humorous feel to it. It reminds me a lot of Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett, or maybe Emily Wilde reminds me of House Moving Castle technically, since House Moving Castle is an older book. Anyway, I'm glad I reread House Moving Castle with more of an appreciation for cozy, whimsical fantasy because I ended up really liking it. So if you didn't know, this book follows Sophie, who is the oldest of 3 daughters. One day she catches the attention of the infamous Witch of the Ways, who curses her and turns her into an old lady. She then goes to seek another infamous individual, the great and notorious wizard Howl, to seek a chance at breaking this curse of hers. But as she forms a bargain with magic, she starts to get to know Howl a little more and realizes that he is not as bad as people perceive him to be. Again, do be aware that this book is a little bit different to the film, so if you're coming in expecting a story that's the exact replica of the Studio Ghibli film, you will probably be disappointed like I was. Again, it is very similar to the film in lots of ways, but they are both unique in their own ways. I obviously have a soft spot for the film, and I did watch the film before reading the book, so I can't help but compare the film as I am reading the book, but I really did try to keep them separate so you can fully appreciate the book for its entirety. I just love that we got to learn more about Sophie and her family. I wasn't the biggest fan of movie Sophie because I feel like I didn't know her well enough to connect with her, but book Sophie was so funny and so sarcastic and spunky. I love her a lot and found her to be so relatable and just such a fun character to read about. Movie Hal was really great, but book Hal was even greater in my opinion, which I didn't know was possible. He's just so much more sassy, and Markle is just, he's such a gem. I love these characters so much. Calcifer, he's amazing as ever. Sophie and Hal just makes the perfect duo. Yeah, I'm really keen to continue on with this series actually. I love Diana Wynne Jones' writing and the way she writes her characters. She just creates this whimsical feeling, and she has this natural sense of humor that I think comes out really easily in her books, and yeah, I loved it. I gave House Moving Castle 4 out of 5 stars. I docked a star off just because some parts did feel a little bit slow. Just like how the film isn't my favorite Studio Ghibli film out there because I had issues with the pacing, but I loved it overall. I loved the vibes, I loved the characters, the story, everything was just really great. I don't currently own the physical copy of House Moving Castle, which makes me really want to buy these gorgeous fairy editions. I mean, how beautiful are they? Not just House Moving Castle, but the second and the third books as well. I'm really tempted to buy them, but should I not? I think they will look amazing on my bookshelf, and I can appreciate the books more if I had them physically. The next books that I want to talk about is the Unearthly series by Cynthia Han. I listened to this whole series as an audiobook on Libro FM. You can use my code in the description below so you can support your indie bookstores. I absolutely ate this one. I read the 3 books back to back, I kid you not, or I guess back to back to back, and it was the best decision I've ever made. All three books flowed so incredibly well together, and I cannot be more grateful that all three books are out for me to be able to do this. This is a YA urban fantasy series about angels, and I am a little annoyed that I did not pick this up when I was younger, because I would have devoured this and made it my whole personality for sure. We follow Clara Gardner, and she discovers that she is part angel, and angels have a purpose that they have to fulfill on Earth. So this is a trilogy, and it's a really long story, but it was done so incredibly well. I haven't actually read many angel related books in the past. I'm not sure Daughter of Smoke and Bone counts, since I'm not sure if it's technically angels. Maybe it's like it's chimera, and maybe it is angels, but I'm not so sure. I can't remember at this stage. But the concept of angels in this series, the Unearthly series, it was just so interesting and was done so well. It actually intertwines with Christian themes and talks about fallen angels, God, angel messengers, dreams and visions. I'm Christian, so reading this felt like a breath of fresh air. The world building was so consistent and well fleshed out. The characters were amazing. They all acted so maturely for YA characters, which again I highly appreciate. This is also no spice, so another bonus for me personally. The romance was very cute, though it had a love triangle. Sorry for those who do enjoy love triangles, but I just personally cannot stand them. But I thought this book actually executed it pretty well. I still don't like it, the trope itself, but this was tolerable for sure. The two guys are really good. They're great. They're not vile towards each other or anything. They're very respectful towards one another and genuinely cares for Clara. I was specifically rooting for one of the boys though, which was why I was a little bit stressed out with the love triangle, but I read online that readers loved both guys and were switching back and forth between their preferences because of how great they were each time a scene came out with them. And I get that, and I again did like both guys a lot, but one of them just made a lot more sense to me personally. Anyways, that's my 2 cents. Again, loved it. I would have been really obsessed with this series if I read it when I was a little younger, but I still really enjoyed reading this. I am seriously again eyeing these gorgeous Verity editions. I also don't have physical copies of these books yet, so I'm not sure. Might not be a bad idea to get it from Littleroot. But speaking of which, very exciting news. I am a Littleroot rep for the months of May, June, and July, which is so exciting. Littleroot is one of my most favorite book boxes out there, and being able to rep for them is seriously such a dream come true. If you guys are big fans of Littleroot as well, or if you guys don't know about Littleroot, they are a monthly subscription box that specializes in making special editions for new releases and even old releases. They have exclusive covers, and papers, edges, dust jackets, all the likes, and they do a terrific job every single month, every single time they come up with books. So if you want to purchase something off of their online shop, you can use my code CUPS10 for 10% off your purchases. I'm considering buying something from their shop as well with my code because they have so many beautiful books up for grabs. So if you haven't already, do check them out. I am personally a huge fan. Okay, the last audiobook that I listened to is the Scythe series. Again, no physical copies for these. I listened to the audiobooks on Borrower Box, which is an alternative to Libby, which is a really great alternative actually. I find that I'm able to download or I guess borrow more books on Borrower Box as opposed to Libby. I feel like Libby has such long wait times, which I don't mind, but I just end up with not being able to listen to anything that I would like to read. But anyways, that's another topic for another time. I read the first book back in like 2020, I believe, though I did donate the book a while ago because I thought it was alright. I did give it a 4 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed it, but I for some reason didn't see myself continuing with the series at the time. But I found books 2 and 3 on Borrow Box, which was already available, so I thought I'd give it a go. This series follows a world where humans have pretty much conquered death, so they have a hierarchy where scythes are above the law and they can choose to glean whoever they want to control the human population. We follow 2 characters, Citra and Rowan, who gets appointed to apprentice as scythes scythes, and between the two, only one of them can become a true scythe. It's a shame that I read the book or the first book so long ago and I'm only now picking up the rest of the trilogy. I also technically finished The Toll, which is the third book, in early June, but I wanted to include it in this wrap up because only then could I talk about my thoughts on the trilogy as a whole. I thought this was a really well written YA trilogy and was such a breath of fresh air as well. I'm not the biggest fan of dystopian novels, but this one really piqued my interest from the get-go, and I'm glad I finally got around to finishing this series because that was one crazy ride. I love the mature main characters as well. They again read much older than they're supposed to be. Both main characters are super smart and steadfast in their beliefs. This is the kind of trilogy that makes you think and empathize with the characters and their questionable, insane beliefs. Some of these characters are actually insane. The way they justify some of their wild decisions and don't think twice about their decisions just boggles my mind. I was listening to the audiobooks and my jaw definitely dropped at a few of these scenes. I personally liked the second book best, and the third book I rated 3 out of 5 stars, mostly because so much was happening so quickly and the way it wrapped up felt really rushed. I would also say that the series is very highly plot driven, which I don't tend to prefer over character driven novels, which I love. I loved Citra and Rowan, but we don't get to see them together a lot in these books, which is a little bit disappointing to me personally. Overall though, this is a very solid YA trilogy, and in terms of special editions, we have the Verity ones and we also have the Littleroot ones. But seeing as I'm not obsessed with the trilogy, I personally wouldn't get them even at resale prices, which for the Littleroot one, they are going for I think $450 a set, which is pretty crazy. The Verity ones are a lot easier to come by and they are much cheaper as well because they are only 3 books out of the 4. I think the 4th book is meant to be a collection of, I think, short stories or novellas, something along those lines. But yeah, I think I generally do prefer Littleroot's editions more. First and the second book gets 4 out of 5 stars for me, and the third book gets 3 stars, giving this trilogy an average rating of 3.7 out of 5 stars. Alright guys, that is all I have for May's wrap up. I hope you enjoyed hearing me yapping my way through all of these books, and I hope you found some new books to read as well. Let me know what you read in the month of May and what your favorite books or your least favorite books are in the comments, and we can hopefully recommend new books to each other in the comments. And yeah, again, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye!